Silence is not empty, it's active. Most people think silence means nothing is happening. But to the nervous system, silence is one of the most activating situations there is. Because the brain is not built to wait. It's built to interpret. Your brain is constantly asking one question: where do I stand right now? Words answer that. Tone answers that. Facial expressions answer that. Silence doesn't. And when there is no input, the brain doesn't stay neutral. It fills the gap. Not because something is wrong, but because uncertainty is what the nervous system tries to eliminate first. Think about this. You send a message. You see it's been read, and then nothing. No reply. No explanation. No signal. Objectively, nothing has happened. But your body reacts. Your chest tightens. Your attention narrows. Your mind starts searching. Did I say something wrong? Did I misread this? Did I cross a line? The reaction doesn't come from the message. It comes from the silence after it. If this already sounds familiar, pause for a second and notice that recognition. That moment of, oh yes, that's not coincidence. It's pattern recognition. And if you recognize yourself in this kind of reaction, you'll probably recognize yourself in the rest of this channel as well. Now imagine a different situation. You're in a meeting, you share an idea. The room goes quiet. No feedback. No rejection. No encouragement. Just silence. One person in that room feels calm. They assume people are thinking. Another person feels exposed. Their heart rate increases. They feel the urge to explain, justify, add more words. Same silence. Completely different experience. Not because of personality, but because of learned meaning. Your nervous system doesn't experience silence as nothing. It experiences silence as ambiguity. And ambiguity is where the brain switches from perception to prediction. If silence once came before rejection, your brain predicts rejection again. If silence once meant emotional distance, your body prepares for distance. If silence once preceded conflict, your system braces itself. Not because it's true now, but because it was costly then. The brain doesn't prioritize accuracy, it prioritizes survival. So it prefers a familiar explanation over an unknown one. That's why silence often feels heavier than words. Words can be evaluated. Silence cannot. So the brain fills the gap with identity. If your identity learned, I have to stay alert, silence activates alertness. If your identity learned, I need to manage the emotional field, silence activates control. If your identity learned, being ignored is dangerous, silence activates threat. This happens before conscious reasoning. That's why silence feels personal even when it isn't. You don't just feel something. You become a version of yourself. The version that learned to anticipate. The version that learned to read between the lines. The version that learned to stay one step ahead. And then behavior follows. You over-explain. You send another message. You soften your tone. You withdraw completely. Not because you chose to. Because your nervous system is trying to restore predictability. If you've ever thought, why did I react like that? This is why. And if this explanation is helping you see your reactions more clearly, take a moment to like this video. Not as a favor to the algorithm, but as a signal to yourself that this insight matters. Here's the shift. Silence is not information. It's a lack of information. And lack doesn't require interpretation, even though it feels like it does. The discomfort is not a message. It's a reflex. Once you see that, something changes. You don't have to suppress the reaction. You don't have to override it. You pause. You name what's happening. This feels familiar. This is my brain filling a gap. This intensity belongs to an older pattern. That naming alone slows the loop. Because the nervous system learns through experience. And the experience it needs is not perfect calm. It needs evidence. Evidence that silence can exist without collapse, without explanation, without defense. So you stay with the sensation a little longer. You don't send the extra message. You don't fill the space immediately. You don't turn absence into a story. And nothing terrible happens. That's the update. Over time, silence loses its charge. Not because people change, but because your nervous system stops treating absence as evidence. Silence becomes what it actually is. A pause. A space. A moment without meaning. And if this way of understanding the mind is useful to you, if it helps you respond instead of react, subscribe to this channel. Every video here stands on its own. One pattern. One mechanism. Clearly explained. Subscribe if you want to go deeper.